The assignment that is going to be due at the end of week 5 is the paper prototype, and as you remember, this is going to be a paper version of your e-learning module. And remember, it must contain everything, all the content written and laid out as it should appear in your final project, the digital version. This includes all the assessments, every dot, every T, every instruction, every tilde, everything needs to be in there. So you'll include the first assignment is going to be your first section of that paper, and if I said that you needed to improve on something, you need to revise that, otherwise there will be a 5-point deduction. You need to include your instructional content and materials and assessment. Everything needs to be in there, everything that is necessary to cover all 5 objectives in your project. Your site directory or map, and I'm going to introduce to you the concept of flowchart, and for that I have a separate video which I will link in the announcement but also in the assignment information page. You also need to include your storyboard, and I'm also going to include a video that explains this, and I'm going to introduce you the concept of wireframe. Wireframe is a bit more appropriate when we talk about pages, the design of pages versus the design of a video. And then the last piece of this is the self-evaluation using Merrill's 5-star instructional design rating. If you remember my previous diagram, if I would have been able to work on all the sections as I was conducting the readings, by this time I would have, for each one of my topics, the absorb activities, the do activities, the connect activities, and now the assessment. So for example, for my first objective, because it is more of a knowledge-based objective, I want my students to be able to recognize what the different parts of a CSS code is. I want to use possibly a multiple choice or maybe an assessment where they point and label the different pieces of the code. But then for the rest of the objectives, because they are performance, I want them to actually format tags using CSS code. I will probably create rubrics to determine what constitutes good formatting of all these different types of tags. The rubric that I will be using to evaluate your work is also going to be available on the assignments link on our course website. It goes down by component of your project, and I will see that you have included the necessary pieces to it. So again, the learner's context and learning objectives piece, it has to be here, it has to be revised if necessary, and there will be a 5-point deduction if you do not include this part or if you did not revise it. The next piece is all your instructional content, all your materials. For materials that other people have created and you will incorporate, please provide the link. If you are creating anything like a video, please include the script to the video. Regarding assessment, you must have all your assessments created. So if you're using a traditional test with different types of questions, all those questions and the answers need to be created. If you are creating a performance-based assessment, you have to have the instructions on what goes into that performance assessment, and you have to have your grading rubrics. For your site directory or site map, I would like for you to include a detailed map of the module you're creating. Use directional arrows to indicate how a learner may move from one content to the next. And also keep it brief. You can only include keywords or titles for each page. You don't have to include on the site map everything that will go in every page. Now there is a storyboard, and this is going to be a little bit more of a visual of your site directory. So provide a brief sketch or of the layout content of the page or component of the learning module. This can be hand-drawn with notations and then scanned, or you can use any type of technology to create your sketches. And the last piece of your project is going to be the self-evaluation using Merrill's 5-star ID rating system. And so you provide your results and include a brief reflection for each component.